who decided what success, happiness, or the right way to live should look like. Because we're calling bullshit on it. Join us, Kristen, my co host, and me, Ghislaine, as we navigate the wild ride of choosing an authentic life and building businesses. We're not going to follow the rules. We don't know which roles we have, because we are calling and we are saying who made that shit up. And we decide for ourselves what actually works. With raw honesty, be prepared. With laughters and the occasional existential crisis, probably today, we celebrate challenges, breakthroughs, and we hold space for real transformation. We reflect what we can't yet see, we keep each other accountable, and I'm sorry, I don't know what it says. I'm like,
And we let that shit out. There we go. Be prepared today, everybody. Be prepared.
yes, be prepared. I'm like, what was I saying?
I didn't bring my tissue box. So how are you doing?
Hello. Well, I had a very nice weekend.
Tell me all about it.
Yes, I'm going to tell you and everybody about it. So I have 3 friends. Well, I have more friends. I don't have a lot more friends, but I have 3 friends. The 4 of us, we met each other via a course that we were doing together, mentorship program that we were doing together, and we connected, the 4 of us, every week, just gathering, talking about what's happening in the course and in the mentorship, and how we were receiving the challenges and the breakthroughs, a little bit like you and I are doing. And we gathered every week and we just spoke openly from our hearts, but we did not leave any names out. And we did mention the things and the people and the things and the people. But so we've known each other for a little bit over a year, and every year we get together. And last weekend was the moment that we got together. So it was a wonderful weekend. It was really nice to connect, because just like you and I, we all live in different countries, so we don't get to see each other very often. And when we are each other, we just create those very potent moments and conversations. And as we are dedicated to speaking from the heart, standing in our feminine nature, and really allowing what is to be, without and just understanding that whatever is happening is part of the whole and is not only part of something for yourself. We have really deep conversations. So we cried, we laughed, we got impatient with each other at some moments, and there was pain, there was love, everything was there. And the beauty of it is that we just it's I don't know, it's friendship 2.0, so to say. When as women have learned that there has to be some kind of, well, maybe not only as women, but there's something specific in women's friendship, where we learned that there's always a little bit of a what's my word, Kristen? When we are a little bit against each other,
Or
a little bit against each other.
competition.
Competition, yes, merci. Thank you very much. We learned that there's always a little bit that's something of a competition, because our survival, from, like, what we learned, that we're supposed to survive, and the only way we had to survive is to make sure that we were noticed as women. So there's this thing that we inherited in friendship, that there's always a kind of competition, or always an underlying tone, or always. And then in general in society, we believe that we are always right, and what we do and think and believe in is the thing that everybody should be doing. And within that relationship, that friendship that we have with the 4 of us, which we also have, it's always very authentic from our hearts. and we understand that whatever the other person is sharing, even if it can be hurtful to me, it's not about me, it's about that other person.
Mhm.
And so it's really settling for my nervous system to be around that kind of friends.
Mhm.
It is, because I know that whatever is going to happen, whatever is going to be there,
Mhm.
we will be able to really speak about it from the truth of what
Yeah.
there is. So yes, it's also challenging, and I definitely did get triggered. And I know that in all safety, I can just address this, which, yeah, it's
Beautiful.
really nice. Yeah, it's beautiful. So that was my weekend. And one of the things that I would love to share, one of the things that came up for me. So there is a little bit of the theme of taking care of yourself as a woman from the ideology of divine femininity. There's no one else in the world that is going to be able to take care of my heart better than myself.
Mhm.
So I need, want to always take care of my heart,
Mhm.
which is for me difficult because I am a people pleaser. I don't want to disturb. I'm conflict avoidant. You wouldn't think, but I am. I'm conflict avoidant, and especially with women, I never really learned how to, well, women or friends, I never really learned to how to be in groups because we moved a lot when I was small. So I don't really have friends that I've known my whole life and that I completely can be authentic from, someone that knows you your whole life. That's just different.
Yeah.
And so I never learned to be in a group like this. So things come up and it's challenging. And what I connected with is on the last day. So when taking care of yourself, I'm coming back to my point. Bear with me for a second. So when when we no, you don't know. I lost my line of thought. I know what I want to
Take,
share. I know what I
taking
want
care of yourself in
to.
a
Yeah,
group.
taking care of yourself. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
So taking care of yourself, but then that's based on the set of information that I have. Yes, I know that this is this is the day we are going to have, and within that day, this is what I prefer, and this is what I like, and this is what I want, this is what I choose, this is what I want, and then we agree on this, we agree on that, and then when things change without you
Mm.
particularly knowing that it's changed.
Rule shift.
Yes. How do you
Uns-
then make the best choice for you?
the
So,
unspoken rule shift.
yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
You want to elaborate on that because what I connected with within that situation, and then taking it wider than just this situation. And so this is what is beautiful with these friends, is that I come up with something that hurts me, and then we together are able to dissect it and see
Mhm.
what the bigger picture is. And
Mhm.
so I made that analogy. If I am playing a game, yes, you and I, we sit at a table and we decide we're going to play a game. First of all, we need to play the same game, because if I play, I don't know, patience with the card deck, and you play Rummikub with the card deck, is Rummikub, do you know what Rummikub is?
Rummy?
Rummy? Okay. Is that
I
a
don't
card
know.
game? Is it a
We
card?
play different card. If we're playing different card game.
Okay. We'll just go for that. We both have a cards deck, but we play
Mhm.
two different games. Then, we are not going to be able to play together.
Mhm.
So we have to align this. And then we play the same game, but we still need to discuss the rules, because my rules, let's say in France, are different than your rules in the US. So even that. And then there's the rules that apply to me personally that I find important. And then there's the rules that apply for you personally. So in the end, is it even possible to play the same game? And so everybody is just playing their own games. But if I decide to play with you, yes, I'm playing your game. We are playing the same games. We have our own rules. Because one of my core rule, belief, standard is that I need to take care of my heart.
Mhm.
But all of a sudden you change. So you tell me your rules, I tell you my rules. Okay, your rules, my rules. We play the game. We'll, ha ha ha. We're here to have fun. We're going to make it. And then all of a sudden the rules change. I go into pleasing. I go into pleasing is maybe not the right example, but I go into making myself small and not prioritizing my true heart's desires in that moment. And so I don't know how that works. I do not know how that works. I do not know how you can truly, fully prioritize your own heart and going with the flow. There's no flow. There's only your anyhow. I don't understand how that works. Because at one point when I mean we do live in a co-creation.
Mhm.
So there are
We're not meant to be in the corner by ourselves. Yeah.
I mean that's easy, taking care of my heart when I'm
Oh,
alone.
it's so
Yeah.
much easier. So much easier.
Let's talk about your heart after that. But yeah. So I heard you saying rules shift.
It's like the unspoken rules.
Mm-hmm.
And they're unspoken rules in the sense that sometimes people don't even know they're really there
Mm-hmm.
until someone pushes against them.
Yes.
And then when someone pushes against them, there's a reaction. And then it's like this shifting. I would say it's like a reorganizing that happens
Mm-hmm.
on that can send like a shock wave through the group or whoever's in this dance, right? And then it's like the player's job to learn how to dance together again, or like redefining. Because what, like a way I look at it is when someone's doing a lot of work in personal development in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
right? That person is constantly changing, right? So as they're changing the rules.
Yes.
And then what happens is you get typically massive negative feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Because people don't like it when you change the rules, because they figured out how to play the game. And when you change the rules, they don't know how to play the game.
Yeah.
And it makes people super uncomfortable. So for me, I found that then I have to come back into compassion and understand that even though I'm changing myself and I'm healing and I'm shifting my viewpoint of the world, that then I have to hold compassion and patience while I give other people time to figure it out. Because what happens is, in some ways, it's like pulling the foundation from someone on what they thought was the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I change the rules, not even intentionally, but like, if it's like in that aspect of being true to my heart. Well, by being true to my heart, that means I'm no longer accepting this.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm no longer accepting this behavior, I'm no longer silencing myself. Well, now I've changed the rules. So when someone does something, I respond. Well, they're not expecting a response, or they're not expecting that. So then all of a sudden, when I respond, they don't know how to respond to me. And it creates this different dynamic, which typically is not a pleasant one at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually interesting because it's similar to what is happening in my house where I am, in that like people don't know how to respond, or they don't know how to relate to you or they don't know how to connect to you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like this period of time of like refinessing, like redefining and finessing things. And for me, usually I have to look at it as like, I'm gonna have compassion while you deal with what, because I already dealt with my stuff, right? Like I worked, I'm in this place now, that's not acceptable to me, or I'm not okay with that, or
Mm-hmm.
don't talk to me like that, don't treat me like that, or I need this right now, and so I can't be doing this right now, whatever the reason is. And then that person responds. And typically it's through defense. I find for me, it's usually through like defensiveness, or they feel hurt, or they feel misplaced, or under like, and so then it can create a dynamic where then we're both reacting because we don't know the rules anymore, so we're both reacting to each other instead of responding. And then it may take a little time to enter a flow where there's responding. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And what you speak about is, so within a relationship or within a friendship, we evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And as we evolve, we learn to take even better care of ourselves. And we
Mm-hmm.
learn what is truly important to us and what our values are. And based on the fact that that might be changing, then the others readjust, learn the new rules, and adapt. So maybe that creates something for them, and then they also change their rules. And so this is a continuous
Yeah, evolution.
flow of, yes, evolution, flow of evolution, and flow of creation. What I was wondering, within the same context, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you take the example of the game, is it even possible to be playing the same game? Or isn't it just so that we are all playing a different game, having a different life, and we think we have something in common with someone because we were born in the same country, we shop at the same grocery store, we share the same grandmother, for example, or we both pay with Mastercards. I don't know, just like
I
whatever,
get it.
whatever might be there, that we actually want to be related to people. We want to be connected to people by something else and greater than
Belong-
just, yeah.
Belonging.
Yes, because we want to belong, and we want to see ourselves in the reflection that the other one gives us. But isn't that just all
Bullshit.
who the fuck made that shit up?
I'd say
Exactly. Who made that shit up? Who said that? Yes, who said? I don't want to be relatable. I mean, it's my game. You need to follow my rules. But that's not gonna work. Okay, so this is the dilemma for me, because I can say, this is my game, this is my rules, because this is what my heart needs, and hold on to that very strongly. I don't know how that works in society, because we also are here to experience a co-creation. Together, we evolve even better, because you and I are having a conversation.
Mhm.
You are speaking about things that make me evolve. I am speaking of things that make you evolve. People that listen to us, they might also get into a new line of thoughts. So that's co-creation. So how can
Mhm.
I just be playing my game without ever entering the game with someone else, or a game of someone else?
Well, I think you can't, because it goes back to oneness
Yes.
also, right? We're all one in that great expansive all that is.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in some of it is asking, well, I have two things. One, I would say asking, yourself, how can I be true to myself
Yes.
while still being part of the world?
Exactly.
Because, and I think asking yourself that, like, daily, like, I mean, not just you, myself asking this question as well, like, how can I be true to my own heart and live within the world, within my family, within my friendships and society? How can I be a part of all of that and be true to myself?
Hmm.
And I think with that, like, through that questioning, there'll be an unfolding, there'll be like a showing of how to do that, because I don't think any of us really know how to do that, otherwise we wouldn't be here. But like, so that unfolding on that. And then I would say, one, we all are playing the same game, we're all here,
I like that. Yes.
we're all here, we're all playing the same game, we're just on different levels. And I don't mean it on levels as like better than or less than anything. We're all playing the same, we're all inside the same game at
Yes.
different points in time.
Yes.
So like maybe in some time, maybe in some places you're ahead of me in one aspect of the game, and not in this comparison, but there's really no way to explain it without
Yeah, without labeling it higher,
without
further,
yeah.
or yeah, it's just that at something in some things they are more in alignment for you to understand today, and for me it's more in alignment to understand them tomorrow,
Yeah.
which automatically creates an before and an after, or an earlier or a later. But yeah,
Mhm. So
it's
it's
not.
like just different points in time in that same game.
Yeah.
And so and from that too, it's we're all in the same game, we're all playing the same game, we might be at different places in the game, and we might have different perspectives of the same game.
Hmm. Yes.
And so it's maybe also living from that place of being in alignment of your heart is being able to see it from your perspective and to see it from theirs,
Hmm.
and then see like
Yes.
what can come together so that the two people, four people, however many people can coexist in one moment, no matter where they are.
Yeah, because this makes me think of the one thing that I noticed even more last weekend is that we are all just a reflection of each other.
Oh my goodness, yes.
You know, we
Yeah.
were, you know, we all were sharing things, and in every share there was something that I could relate to, or within, exactly like within things like, oh, I recognize that, or oh, I've had the exact same thought a month ago, or oh, this is very interesting because this links to this and that that I'm reflecting on now in this period of my life. And so it's just everybody, every person out there is just a reflection of ourselves. And I believe that when we accept the invitation of being fully authentic with each other and staying with our own hearts, playing our own game. No, no, no. I mean, within our own heart and staying open from our own heart, we open for ourselves, but we also open for the other.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And yes. And in that, I think also in every aspect, whether we notice something beautiful or something we're judging, it's because we have that aspect as well. Like if we don't have something, we can't notice it.
Yes, because, okay, so judgmentless. Yes, having no judgment. I mean, that's like, oh,
It's
so
not
interesting.
actually, I would say it's not something that we have reached in this state of consciousness where people have no, because even if, because, interesting, because it's like, in order to change, we have to have judgment on something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if we're evolving, we have to have it's an opinion. It's a
Exactly.
perspective.
It's judgment, it's an opinion, and it's also the idea that there is something that is better than that thing that you are judging.
Mhm.
And from that idea, it's also, as everything is a reflection of yourself, that thing that the other is doing that you are judging
Is
is something that you are judging within yourself.
yes. Mhm.
And it's an art to just not go into well, it's an art to allow the judgment to come within yourself. So and to see it as an invitation to dive deeper within that theme for yourself.
Mhm. Yes.
Which is very difficult because there are some things that I recognize it's a judgment towards others. And I also know where it comes from. I can't stop it.
Mhm. Well, and I think
Because somewhere there is something probably that's yeah. So
like with maybe what we need to do is just redefine what judgment is, because judgment is an observation. And then what we add behind it, it goes back into the intention of our judgment. Are we just noticing something, or are we adding like anger and hatred and meanness to that? Because you can observe something, right, without determining if it's good or bad.
mhm.
But most of us look at something and we're like, oh, we define it as either like that's good or bad. And that's the emotion we put behind it. It's not the actual observation. But to want to evolve, we have to have an opinion about it.
Exactly.
So
Because the
if we're
driving
like,
force of change,
uh-huh,
the fact that we notice that there's a discomfort there within what you observe, there's a discomfort within yourself.
mm-hmm,
So is the mistake we make to observe and externalize it instead of observing and internalizing it.
well, I wouldn't say internalizing, like
No, I
in
know.
the sense of like taking it in, but
Yeah.
I know what you mean. I would say it's because what we are doing. So this has come up in the past week. I felt very judged. And in this, I've been going through my own, like, it's brought up a lot for me, my
Mm.
own little roller coaster ride of emotions. And in this morning, it was like, well, I'm taking the judgments personally, right? But why am I taking them personally? I'm taking them personally because that's also how I like, because I haven't come to peace with it.
It's a fear
The
of
only
yours or something you're insecure about. It's something, yes, like we said last week, what Peter Kroon was talking about. Nothing from the outside world will reach you as long as there is no ground for it to grow on.
Mhm. And so in that, I've been like, this weekend for me, I've been looking at just accepting that I might never be accepted by my family, that I might always feel rejected by my family, and that they might always feel shame about me or what I do. And like moving into this, like, but how they feel about what I do, or how they perceive what I do, or what I want to create, or how much money I want to make, or whatever, is their things about that. But the reason it bothers me is my things about it.
Because you still haven't completely detached from those aspects.
Mm-hmm. And so this weekend, the past since our last call, I have been sitting with, and I would say probably grieving
Mm-hmm.
how I want them to see me, how I want them to view me or accept me. And so it's been this process of like, they might always have shame around what I do.
Mm-hmm.
They might never feel comfortable telling people that what I do. They might never tell people, or they might change it, or they might skew it so it sounds more normal, or they might completely reject what I do. And in that way, also understanding that them rejecting what I do is not necessarily them rejecting me, because I'm not what I do. But it's a complicated, convoluted
Well, it's
thing.
it's very
But
complicated because you don't do something because you believe it's a good business opportunity within the old paradigm. You believe it is something that you are invited to bring into the world.
it's a
So
calling.
yes, it's a calling. And so,
Calling feels a little more personal.
well, it does, especially because to follow a calling, it's heart and soul and body. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just I do that between 9 and 5, and then in the weekend and in the evenings I'm off.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you are always present for. And so I understand the challenge. And still, on a soul level, you don't need anyone to approve. You
So,
don't need, yeah,
yep.
there is
So it goes,
no need. So
yeah.
the human is now bringing in something to be held by the soul.
Mm-hmm. And in that, like, it goes back into like changing the rules, because now I've changed, like, by changing this, I've changed the rules. If
Mm.
I'm sitting from a place, well, you can feel all the shame you want, but I'm no longer keeping myself small so that you don't feel shame, because I realized that's what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I do this, I'm going to shame you, right? Or if I talk about this, then I'm going to shame you. So I'm not going to do that, or I'm going to minimize it, or I'm going to water it down so it's more acceptable to other people, to the you, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Then I've now changed the rules, and that throws everyone off. And now within a family, within a friend group, within everything, everyone's trying to find their footing again.
Yes.
And I'm trying not to run out the front door. I'm like working through not running away.
Well, running away is something, yeah. It's well, there's a lot of wisdom in standing up for yourself
But
and showing and staying that you are standing up for yourself and not
well,
walking away, because in
yeah.
the end then you're not standing up for yourself. You are
Well,
walking away with yourself. And yeah.
and I think there's definitely a time and a place for both.
Yes,
And
definitely.
that's the part of the flow and the balance as well. And so, like, with what you're saying, it's like going back into that aspect of how, like, we're all in the same game, and part of the game is to learn how to work together, because when we're not working together, clearly that doesn't work.
Did you, is your family following you on Instagram and on Facebook? Are they part of your Facebook group? Are they listening to the
um
podcast?
my mom attends everything I do.
Okay.
My
That,
mom attends everything well, I mean, she listens to the podcast. She will attend my complimentary events. She attends my paid events. um she she's open to it.
mhm.
My sister-in-law is open to it, but doesn't really they're open to me doing anything on my niece. Like, they're like, anything I get, like, I have full permission to do any healings or anything on my niece. But the rest of my family, I would say, aren't really interested in participating.
Yeah.
My brother is open, but not, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, but he doesn't want me in any of his business. It freaks him out that I can like energetically know things, or that like he doesn't want me in his business at all. And so I like purposely have this wall. Like I respect that
Yes.
as much as I possibly can, sharing space.
Mhm.
And my dad, uh
Well, fathers are a whole different piece of cake.
well, my family is I was raised Catholic.
Mhm.
And so my we can have conversations, but there are boundaries on those conversations, where we don't bring like religion into things. We keep it kind of philosophical rather than um belief or religious based, to avoid massive conflict.
So the reason why I ask you this is because I heard someone once share that the best she ever did for her business, she's a marketing
Mhm,
lady that advises entrepreneurs just like you and me, that are, not wanting to walk the traditional marketing path, and that are not desiring to create pain for their audiences so they would buy from us. I mean, that's probably
mhm.
something that I'm
Not
comfortable
what
with,
I want. Yeah.
and I don't think you as well. But she was sharing, she said the best thing I ever did is just blocking every member of my family from anything that I do professionally. And
Mm,
the reason why if your mom is listening, I'm very sorry, ma'am. It's not particularly at you, but what she was sharing was very interesting, because she said the family that we were born in, and that we grow up in, we all hold the same kind of old beliefs, and we grow, and you grow, you want to change something. I'm sorry, I'm nearly falling from my seat.
no worries.
We all grow, we change, and that what you are bringing into the world is not just your business, it's not just a product that you made and that you are bringing into the world. It's
Mhm,
something that is so interwoven with you, that all the energy that comes from an old paradigm that you were part of is going to be forcing you into back and forth and back and forth.
mm,
There's this slight energy and frequency that is holding you, but because you are fighting against your own limiting beliefs. But then you are also fighting against the limiting beliefs of your family, or of a group of friends that you are from, or um, the school that you were educated at, if it was a traditional school and that you are now changing, or the
mm,
people that you know from church, for example. So you're always energetically going to be fighting against them as well.
mm.
So she said, kick everybody out, just block them.
See, I don't know if
You do
that,
it, you can ask you.
I don't know if I necessarily 100% agree with that.
Mhm.
Because I know that my dad does not listen to anything. He doesn't um listen to my stuff at all. So I don't have to worry about if he hears it. Um, and my brother isn't on social media, so um but it's really just my mom.
Yeah.
And she's pretty open. The last class I did was the art of shifting your reality, and it was something I never in my life thought that I would speak about in front of my mom, because it's like so far out there and woo woo, and like and my mom attended,
Mhm.
and I didn't hold back. It was completely what it was meant to be. It wasn't necessarily right up her alley. Like, I think it brought up a lot for her, but I didn't feel like, oh, I can't talk about this because my mom's there. If it had been my dad, it might have been different. It would have been different.
Mhm.
But I think in that, I do agree that like we can be pulled back into the energy, right? But I think in some ways, for me, how I perceive it is being in a place where I can hold my own energy no
Mhm.
matter where I am. And that's part of what my goal is because in that, to me, cutting off that energy is one, cutting energy off that like, and you can never really separate yourself from your family. That's an like, you're always energetically connected to them.
Mhm.
Like, so, and we're all like, so in that, if I'm cutting something, if I'm, to me, if I cut that energy off, then I'm rejecting something. Like, and not in a sense of like, if I'm rejecting something, then I'm not allowing everything that is for me to flow because I'm trying to push and reject something else away. And so, and in the goal, that my goal is one of my like, I don't want to say goals, but one of where I want to be energetically is to hold myself in any situation and stay true to who I am. And it is definitely the hardest with my family. But in that, and maybe that's why I have such a hard time with my family, is because this is one of my intentions. But in that, I now know that when I go into other situations, I can hold myself more powerfully, in the
Mhm.
sense of not like power, but in the sense of like, this is who I am. Because if I can hold it with my family, I can hold it with anybody.
Okay, I fully understand what you say. I
Mm-hmm,
think also it's a very honoring to them, to you, to where you came from, to the to what
mm-hmm.
family also holds for you. And isn't it a little bit sadomasochistisch? Because you,
No.
it feels a little bit like you, well, it did not, it's not that it feels like this, but the option can also be to develop that capacity of holding yourself in
Mm-hmm,
a less challenging environment. So you build that muscle, you build that muscle,
mm-hmm.
build that muscle. And once you've built that muscle, you try it out within the family context.
Well, and that's what I have been doing, because I go and I was traveling the world doing that in different countries, in different groups of people. Then I come back, and that's not the intention behind what I'm doing, but like, it's just how it's landed.
Yeah.
And then I leave, I take my space. Like, it, to me, it's it also helps me. I
Well,
mean, maybe it is, I don't know, but I
can I just,
don't.
can I just give you the example of last, for example, last weekend
Mhm,
with my three friends.
mhm,
This is also a space that was challenging in some aspects, but because I know they fully accept me
mhm,
without having any memory of who I was when I was 16, or how they think I should behave, or they don't hold that at all, because this is not the kind of
mhm,
that we are in friendship that we have.
mhm,
That was much easier for me to say, ooh, this is difficult. You saying that to me, this like,
mhm,
I'm a crier. Yeah. So if I want to make something that I find challenging, if I want to bring it to the table, I'm gonna cry. Yes. And
Mm-hmm.
crying creates a reaction with the other ones. But because I know that they are not going to let my tears make that part of. So for with my family, for example, when they see me cry, is I'm emotional, I'm unable to hold myself, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm childish. This is within my family when I cry. With these sisters, when I cry, they know
Mm-hmm.
this is my way of, well, that I find things challenging. And one of the first things that arises are tears. And so I excuse myself. I say, I'm so sorry that I'm crying, but this when something is difficult for me, these are tears. And their response is, it's okay. Water is helping to bring things to the
Mm-hmm.
surface. So that's the difference. My family is like, oh, she's crying again.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends in this context is, it's okay, let the tears come. They are helping you to bring things out.
And I understand that. So in through my journey, I've done a lot of work around family and ancestral things, right? So, but in that saying, like, I think part of it is, and even in this past weekend, like looking at like, okay, so if you are ashamed of me, that's your thing, not mine. But like also redefining what I expect from my parents or my brother, or like, because I don't go to them necessarily for emotional needs. If I
No.
need to express myself, those are not the people I'm going to. And so in that, I have redefined that relationship with them for myself. That's part of changing the rules, right? Like, we're changing
Yes.
the rules.
Yeah.
Like, I don't go to any of them for emotional support in the traditional way of like hold me, because they don't necessarily have, and like no reflection on where they are in their journey, but like, and they don't do that to me either. Like, depending, but like, so I'm not, so that's okay.
Mm.
I've become okay with that. Like, if I need emotional support, or I need someone to like help me work through something, and even need is not the right word, but if I'm requiring to work through something, I'm not going to them,
Mm.
because we're dealing with, in the same game, different places in the game,
Yes.
different things. We don't have the same things. And so in that, like, when I'm with them, there's aspects where like, okay, we are not lining up, but like, how, like, where can those aspects come and we can be in alignment?
Mm.
And so in that aspect, like, maybe it's just like having dinner together, maybe it's like watching something that I want to watch for a little bit, or like discussing something different, or maybe it's like watching a show we agree on. Like, those are the things now that we do. We find something that like, okay, well, I'm not interested in watching, and so when I'm not interested in watching something, I leave. If they're not interested in watching something, they leave. We
Mm.
like, and we just created new rules within the system.
Mm.
And when we change them, they're not always the easiest. When I change them, for the most part, they're not the easiest for everyone to adjust with. But then we're all like adjusting. Some of us are grieving at different points. And then we just like, that's the space that's held. And I think like in that, it's how it goes back to like what you were saying, how do I be true to me while being part of this game?
Yeah.
And it's the same concept, just on a family level, because to me it's easier to be held by friends, especially friends like you and our other friends. Like, it's easier to be held in that space than it is to be in emotionally. But there is an aspect that, as family, birth family, right, our pre-chosen family, or so that are here on earth chosen family, that they do still provide me.
Yeah, we chose them, so
We chose them.
something must be good about that. Yeah. I for quite some time really I distanced myself from many persons in my family.
Mhm,
Not directly the my parents and my sister, but the little bit more around that family, so to say.
mhm.
And at one point I was, this is just one fucking big mistake. This is just, there was space, and I said, okay, I'll go because I just need to go, but I didn't make any agreement with those people.
Yes, you did.
What the
You just you did it before you came. That's the biggest agreement you made.
So we create the rules before we are even born. And
Mhm.
then, we forget the freaking rules. And then as a human, we recreate new rules. And then we enter the game, and then it's everybody has their own rules. Adapt, adjust, adapt, adjust. Oh, no, you shouldn't adapt and adjust. You should stay true to your own heart. I mean, no
But
wonder I've been a mess in my life.
well, I think you could adapt and adjust and be true to your own heart, right? Because it's not, it's compromising in the sense, maybe it's compromising not in the way we've learned to compromise, where we say we're giving up something about ourselves to compromise, because I think that's the way so many people define compromise. Like, it's like, if I'm compromising, then someone's winning and I'm losing
Exactly.
something, instead of looking at how can we both win in this situation.
Mm.
How can we all win in this situation?
And also understanding that it's all just an illusion.
It's a complete
It's
illusion.
all incentives to make us play the game.
Mm-hmm.
The game is living life in the
Mm-hmm.
most joyful and exciting way possible. That's the game.
Yeah.
And then all those incentives that we have with, like, you triggering me, or our friends from last weekend triggering me, your parents triggering you, whomever, the neighbor triggering me, the people in the supermarket triggering me, or, well, trigger is maybe a heavy word, but in the line of
Oh,
trigger.
I've been triggered.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, you're not always triggered. Sometimes you just notice something and you're like, ah, okay, but still it's important for you to notice. So
Mhm.
all those things, they are just here to keep you engaged in the game, because we cannot be bare naked. We cannot all be bare naked sitting in the Himalaya meditating.
No, we're not supposed to be.
Some of us are, but it's not what I chose for this lifetime. And
It's not what I want.
no, exactly. So, but yeah,
And it sounds cold.
the most challenging is maybe also then, whenever we understand that, it's a game and we change the rules and we make the rules and we adapt and blah, blah, blah. It's then understanding, well, it's all a freaking illusion anyway. And the point is just enjoying life. So then I get back to my point where I started with, if this brings me the most expansion, but within an excitement, but within the group, we decide, yeah, because I'm alone. I'm here in my house. I'm alone. It's very easy to go with the highest excitement. But
Mhm.
then within the context of the group, there's many different people that have different kind of excitement. So yeah.
Yeah, I think, because in some ways, to me, right? And there's a balance with this, with everything. In some ways, with me, if we're avoiding family, or we're avoiding conflict, or because avoiding family is kind of avoiding conflict. And okay, I can see I just hit a nerve. I love you.
I agree. Oh, oh, I
It's
agree.
also like, are we then isolating? Because isolating doesn't just mean holed up in a room by ourselves or in the Himalayas. It's, are we avoiding things that make us uncomfortable so that we feel better, right? Because ideally, and this goes into my like wanting to be holding my own in any situation. When we're moving into this place, like, yeah, I can feel freaking great and happy and peaceful and joyful and free like a bird all by myself anywhere. But then but then the rest of the world has other people, right? So when I'm in this scenario with other people, am I able to hold those same frequencies within myself around other people, around my family, around, say, even in political environments where the collective is super heavy, or the collective is, like, and I'm super and like sensitive to energy. So this is something that I feel we've all been working on a long time. But for me, it's been I used to be debilitated other people's stuff, like to the point where, like, even at the beginning, when I was doing healing sessions, like the pain I would feel in my own body that didn't even belong to me during the session would be overwhelming, that it made it really hard to do the session. So for me, it's been this process of not cutting it off, because that's what I wanted to do, and be like, let me go numb so I'm not feeling this. Let me go, like, it's been this process of having the awareness without needing to experience it, or like having this like physically experience it, emotionally experience it. But it's the same thing, like, can I hold my own energy where other people's energy is not overtaking me? Can I hold myself in all of those situations? Because that's how you function in the world. That's how, not just function, you thrive. I don't
Yes,
want to just function. I want to thrive.
we want to thrive, definitely. So what I hear you saying, when I if I go back to the game analogy,
Mhm.
is that you play your own game. You're here, you know your own rules, and it's just the knowing and the acknowledging that when we step out into the world, there are going to be other people around us with other rules. And it's basically also deciding for yourself, how willing are you to I don't want to say go along, because that's not the right word I want to use, but how willing are you to navigate within someone else's game without fully playing their game, following their rules?
So I would, can I tweak that a little?
Yeah.
So I would say playing my game and then inviting other people into my game and still navigating the game with other people, because it's not, rather than shifting it into playing in their game, because in their game I'm in their game, in my game, like, so I'm
Exactly.
in your game, you're in my game, right? So it's not navigating your game, it's navigating my game with you in it.
And I'm navigating my game with you in it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And then in that,
Exactly. I like that. So it's always about navigating your own game.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
you're the star of your own show.
Yes.
So then it's like, how are the other characters in your show, in your game, interacting with you? And that's like what we also get to decide And by shifting beliefs and shifting awarenesses and shifting those things, that changes how we're all interacting within the game.
Mhm.
And that's where the rules are changing. But because these people also are in their own game, they're like, do I still want to play in this game, or how do I adjust?
Mhm.
And then with that, allowing the peace and the compassion for people adjusting, for yourself adjusting to other people changing the rules, allowing that peace and compassion towards yourself and that patience, and then giving other people the patience and the time to adjust to when you switch.
Mm.
So I mean, I think like for you, I mean, you and your husband have been together for a long time. And
It-
so over that span, like if you go to a retreat and come home, you're a different person.
Mhm.
Do you find that then there's like an adjustment period?
For me personally, yes, there is an adjustment period to integrate that which
Mhm,
happened. And I have learned to, before I go, express to my husband, remind him that it's going to be difficult for me to immediately speak to him about what we did and what I experienced and how it was. So I will share a little bit, but not much, because yes, there is adjustment.
and so you've created rules in the relationship to navigate those changes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And so in that, you've created, like, for both of you, there's that safe aspect that you both have, like, you've pre-discussed,
Yeah.
like, I'm coming back a different person. He knows you're leaving, you're gonna come back a different person.
Yeah.
And then you have the rules on how to deal with it when you get back. And you
Yes.
have that integration. And integration is really the right words rather than the adjustment. It's integrating the new rules into the game.
Yes, because some things they touch you in a way that you don't have words for.
Mhm,
So there's something at the core of your understanding of the world that changed, but there's nothing to show for it. So it's very difficult to explain to people how your game has changed and what that means within the rules of engagement with someone else's game, especially in a relationship, because there is a big part of the games that we are playing, and that's the thing within a relationship, you are in big parts playing the same game, but you're
mhm,
also in other big parts totally not playing the same game.
mhm. So I'd say it's similar in every other relationship. We just don't put that attention on every other relationship because that's the most important one for you.
Well, and it's easier, for our friends that I spend a weekend with.
Mhm,
Within that weekend, we come together and we play for a weekend. We play the same game, and then we leave and we don't see each other for 6 months. With
mhm,
with someone you live with, there you are constantly with each other, so there's constantly the need for integrating each time again, so to say. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is fascinating. Like, and to me, like, I don't know, for in some ways, for me, I feel like because one of my, I want to impact a lot of, I want to impact a lot of people, right? And in part of that, and I believe you do as well. And like, and part of that is in this standing, for me, in this standing in my own, in any environment, like it keeps coming back to like, if I can, and maybe this is something I need to look at because maybe it is a little sadistic, but like, if I can stand my own in my family who are so important to me, right? Like, I love them so much, then anyone else that throws things at me will be nothing.
Okay, but
But I don't want my family throwing anything at me either.
no,
Like,
no,
let's
no,
just
no, no.
clarify that.
Look at it that way. If you want to learn how to run, the first training you are going to do is probably not going to be a running training.
Oh, completely. But I feel like I've been doing all that other training for a very long, for 40 something years.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
And
Okay.
well,
I was
in this
going
life,
into judgment.
in this one, we're sitting here in this one. Okay, we're
No,
not
I was going into judgment, but is that true? Is that true that you've been doing that for 40? You already 40? Or you look like you're 35?
Oh, thank you. I'm 41.
Um, is it true? Because have you always been the conscious human being that you are?
No, I would say the past 10 years
Okay.
um have been my period of redefining my relationships with my family
Mhm.
on from my terms. And trust me, I didn't always do it the nice way either.
No, no.
I went through all the really shitty ways first.
Yeah. We all
Like,
go, we all go through those phases, I think, to redefining, and this is what it is. If you don't like it, there's the door and there's the window.
there's like 2 years of silence for my leg. So, there's been yeah, it's been a lot of that was running just the wrong direction, right? But like we all go through that, and I think that is and it goes into being sure about conviction. It goes into conviction, not being sure, conviction of who I am
Mhm,
and
mhm,
how I am in the world, not just in a safe environment. And
mhm.
safe environment, I mean, like with my sisters who I can say anything I need to and know that no matter what I say, I'll be held. And then I not maybe I'll offend, but they'll move through it and still be able to hold me, and then I can hold them. And so to me, that's a safe environment.
Yes.
But like to be able to hold the conviction of who I am in any environment. Um, because I used to I used to be a chameleon.
Yeah.
And I think that's why this is so important to me, is because it's so easy for me to blend. I can read the whole room when I walk into it. I can blend like this. And so it's like being holding that awareness. But we do have to wrap up this conversation because
Well,
otherwise
I'm finding it very interesting that you do choose to do it in the most complicated, because there is so much aspects in their situation with your family.
well,
For me, it worked to do it outside of the family context and really learn without all those things that were present because it's the family, to learn
mm-hmm.
how it felt for me to
Well, I
be.
think I've done that.
Hmm,
I've done that. Like but I also think in there's still comfort in doing it within the family
hmm.
because there's still love,
Yes.
even if it's not like the way like, um, but yeah, maybe I like to just like,
Well, just I'm bringing something in, and you are like, well, this is but I've done that, so now I want to do it like this. I'm loving it. I'll support
I
you.
may have some resistance to doing it another way. I don't know. I just, yeah, I'll have to think more about that.
It's interesting to dive in why this is so important for you to do it in that way. What are you afraid that you will be losing if you do it in another way? Or what do
Mhm.
you feel it will be adding if you do it in that way.
Mm,
And
yeah.
then there's always what are you attracting by doing it that way, and what are you pulling away by doing it that way.
Hmm. Yeah.
But you said exactly what was we are going to wrap up, because otherwise we're going to be here, I think, until
Because we could go in this
yeah, we
circle
could go on and on and on and on, and from the one theme to the other one, and then get back to the game and to the families and to the. So yes, wrapping up.
Okay, so let's
Hmm.
see. Oh, where in your life? So the invitation is to look where in your life are you playing someone else's game?
Yes, I wanted to say conforming to someone else's game. Are you playing? Yes. Yeah.
And
Ah.
that may be those unspoken rules.
Exactly. It can be very loud. You can be when hearing this question and hearing our conversation, you can go like, "Oh yes, I know immediately," or it can be a very soft voice, something that you are following that is just here in the background, always present.
Mhm. And usually we have both. So if you hear the loud one, can you hear the soft one too?
Exactly. Very interesting. And we would be really happy to hear from you. So let us
Okay.
know, reflect on this question. Thank you,
Mm,
Kristen.
thank you, love.
It's amazing. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.